Shalom, everybody. It's Nick Vanderlaan. It is the 8th day of the 4th month on Elohim's Essene Enoch solar calendar. It's June 27th, 2018. This message is being broadcasted from Marbella, Spain. I had to come over here for a family reunion for my in-laws, and I thought that, hey, it was just a good call to come here. We are just like a couple hundred kilometers east, maybe 180 kilometers east of the port of Cadiz, where there's a major U.S. Navy port. I actually to believe that possibly to be one of the fortresses of Ephraim that's talked about in Isaiah 17, which is, I don't know if it's going to exist when this Damascus war happens. So anyways, I want to get in. I got some important information that I want to share with you, some more insight that I feel, well, definitely some insight regarding some important things. This word beginning of sorrows, guys, as you can see here, I'm going to share some insight that I was just shown as I was preparing this message. But this message is called the Rapture Judgment, the September 24th sign plus 40 weeks. We're going to get into why I'm calling it the September 24th sign, not the 23rd sign. And it's also June 30th, 2018, the beginning of sorrows. Okay? And so if you see all these question marks, guys, okay, these question marks are there for a reason. Okay? These are just theories and understandings of future events. I always say that there's certain things that we're going to know how things line up in the future, in the 70th week of Daniel, and the judgments that are going to happen during the 70th week of Daniel. But there are a lot of double fulfillments of prophecy in the scriptures, and only Elohim can do that. He can only write a word that can have double fulfillment and multiple meanings and multiple times and do these things. He's Elohim, guys. And also I want to share with you is that I don't claim to have all the knowledge, and I don't claim to be 100% right in the information that I'm sharing with you. But I don't. I can't be. That's why I'm providing you guys my best understanding on how I see things, and as I understand things, and as I come to the understanding of these things, to share these things with you guys. Okay? But like I say, there's things that we know how they're going to fulfill out, but I believe that there's going to be a lot of things that are going to happen in the future, just like they didn't happen according to how John the Baptist thought they were going to happen. The disciples thought they were going to happen during Yeshua's first coming. They're like, hey, you're supposed to set up your kingdom. Who are you? Are you the one that we're supposed to? Even John the Baptist, he had lost, he was questioning what was going on because he expected Yeshua to set up the kingdom just like his disciples did, and he didn't at the time. And so I just think that the future fulfillment of prophecies aren't going to roll out or be fulfilled how many people have speculated over the last 2,000 years how they would be fulfilled. And I think that some things are going to be looking differently, a lot differently than we had thought, but there's going to be a lot of things that are going to go as plainly, easily, verifiably how we predict. Okay, but there's going to be a lot of stuff that's not going to happen as we have theorized okay, despite how clear we think that the message might be, or our understanding of it is or was. So let's go ahead and get into this video right now. Okay, again, I want to start here with this first slide. This is a continuation of my last video that I did. I did one on the Trump Kushner talking about he's going to publish the peace plan, and in this I talk about the September what we think to be the September 23rd sign when you add 30, and I added 39 weeks, and I mentioned that 39 weeks is a full-term birth. That's as early as they say a full-term birth is, but I got a lot of corrections in my comments. Thank you to all the ladies out there. I've had 5 children, but hey, guys, we kind of sometimes forget these type of things. I had a couple of kids, I think, at 42 weeks. But what I want to share with you is is that 40 weeks, 40, okay? 40 weeks is considered full-term birth, okay? And that's probably standard. Now, it can go a little bit longer than 40 weeks. It can go, and it can come about a week before. That's considered still full-term. But 40 weeks is full-term birth, guys. Sorry, and it was a dub. But I want to thank all of these commenters right here correcting me. Susan Zimmerman, Salah, he calls me by a new name, Deborah Arant, Nicole, and Shannon Riley. Thanks for those comments. You ladies are so right, and hallelujah, because, and I knew 40 weeks, thank you for bringing it back to my memorization and correcting me, okay? So what I wanted to bring up is the number 40 and judgment, guys, all right? We have the flood judgment, 40 days and 40 nights. The Israelites wandered the wilderness for 40 years. Jonah gave Nineveh a 40-day warning to repent or judgment was coming. Okay, so let's take a look at the scriptures right here. All right, and let's blow this thing up. So the Pharisees, also the Sadducees, came and tempting and desired him, Yeshua, that he would show them a sign from heaven. And he answered and said unto them, when it is evening, ye say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but you cannot discern the signs of the times? And a wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall be no sign given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonah. And he left them and departed. What? He left and departed? The sign of Jonah? He left and departed? Like a departure? Okay? But so the sign of Jonah. So we're looking for this sign of Jonah. Well, Jonah's sign, as we know, it was a 40-day warning to repent and judgment. Okay? And the impending judgment. So days, weeks, months, and years are all units of measurements of time. Jonah's sign was a warning that lasted 40 units of time. 40 weeks maybe, guys? 40 weeks from the September 24th sign, and I'm going to get into it why I'm saying September 24th, not 23rd. Okay? So, okay, the battery was running out, so I had to just pause it, and now we're going to restart. But I'm not going to be editing this video. I just have to get it out however it comes. Okay, so we're talking about 40 weeks from a sign. And also in one of my previous videos, I talked about how judgment begins at the house of Elohim in 1 Peter 4:17. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of Elohim. So how I understand this, guys, and how I recently interpreted this is that there will be a judgment for those professing faith in Yeshua Messiah, which will happen sometime before the 70th week, which is the judgment of the world, and happen sometime before the beginning of sorrows, which I believe the beginning of sorrows, and interpret this to be the judgment of Ephraim and a partial judgment of Judah until they're miraculously saved. We'll see. I don't have full understanding of this, but that's how I lean right now. If you see, in Luke 21:36, it said, Yeshua said, watch ye therefore and pray always that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and stand before the Son of Man. So there's going to be an escape, I believe, and that escape is going to happen at judgment, when the judgment happens. So I theorize just prior to the beginning of sorrows mentioned in Matthew 24:8, this judgment of the house of Elohim will happen, and it will be the escape. And I theorize that escape to be the rapture. And why do I say that? Because you're accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass. So these future events that are going to be happening, which I believe, again, beginning of sorrows, and stand before the Son of Man. You're going to be standing before the Son of Man, before Yeshua. That's what appears to me. So This is why I believe that there is such thing as a pre-tribulational rapture. And then this is the event that we would call it, but it's not pre-tribulational rapture. It's pre-sorrows rapture. Okay, it's before the beginning of sorrows happen. Okay, it's before the sorrows happen, and we're going to get into what the sorrows are and identify them with 1 Thessalonians 5 and chapter 4, which was right before, which is the snatching away verses that we see about in the scripture. Now, you're probably saying, well, what does the judgment of the house of Elohim? Am I talking about, are people going to be killed and destroyed? I can't say those things, but what I believe is going to happen, because this is a very sensitive subject to speculate on, okay? And I'm in no way judging another man's servant. It's not for me, or servant. It's not for me to judge. But I am going to speculate on what could be the standards for the judgment of the house of Elohim. What is the standards of judgment? Okay? So, and this is what I want to present. Okay? I'm going to use the words could in this, guys. So I'm not saying that it is. Okay? But I want to speculate, could those who are accounted worthy, they're accounted. They aren't worthy, but they have been accounted worthy to escape. Okay? Are those that had a true faith and were not just hearers of the word of Elohim, but also doers? Okay, which is the 10 plus 1 commandments. These are the commandment keepers. We talk about those who, I mentioned it in one of my previous videos, 3 times in Revelations. It talks about those who have the testimony of Yeshua and keep the commandments of Elohim. And these have the right to eat of the tree of life. But they're now, everybody's keeping commandments, and everybody's saying, well, we're no longer under the age of grace when the rapture comes. And I shared with you guys that, and they say, well, this is dispensation. And I say, the only thing about dispensation is it's looking backwards at the work of Yeshua rather than having to look forward at the work of Yeshua. Faith has always been the same. That's why it's in the book of Hebrews chapter 11. It talks about the hall of faith. Why would they be writing that book to us, showing us what the faith of the patriarchs were and the righteous men and women of Yah who had faith but also had works to go along with it. Faith is actionable, people. So faith has always been the same, and you're only justified by your faith. So all of you people out there that keep twisting my words and saying, oh, you're legalistic. Oh, you're preaching a different gospel. Oh, this, that, and another thing. No. Here, listen to this sentence. You are only justified by faith in, trusting in the blood of Yeshua and the completed work of Yeshua on the execution stake, the tree, or the cross, whatever it was. But that's the only way you're justified, by faith. I say the 10 commandments because if you've been justified, he who has been forgiven much loves much. And if you love much, you do what your master, your savior that you say does, that you call your savior, you do what he says, right? And he says, if you love me, keep my commandments. But everybody questions me. Well, you can't keep the 10 commandments. Well, Yeshua is telling us, if you love me, keep them. Okay? Keep them. Now, guess what? We break them all the time. I do. But it doesn't mean that we're not supposed to strive to keep the commandments of Elohim because he tells us to do that. And he shows us how we break our commandments, right? If we have, adulterous thoughts in our hearts, if we covet our neighbor's possessions, their cars or their property, okay? If you bear false witness on somebody and lie about them, okay? If you have he said if you hate someone, it's the same thing as murder. So it starts in your heart, guys, okay, where the commandments are. So when our heart is out of line and sin, we need to confess our sin, and Yeshua, he's faithful and just to forgive us our sins and cleanse us of all unrighteousness. This is how It works. And regarding having, even keeping the Shabbat, guys, that's one of the commandments of Elohim, keeping the seventh day Sabbath holy and set apart. So if you have an idea like, oh, let me just go ahead and take a sneak look at what the score of the game is going on right now, guys. Or let me go ahead and think about this work project that I got that I'm heavily involved in and start thinking about how I can fix that problem at work. Or let me go ahead and think about, what bills I got to pay tomorrow and this, that, and another thing and what I got to do tomorrow, guys. Okay? That's how we violate the seventh day Sabbath. You can, just in the thought, in the heart, okay? Let alone in action and deed, okay? So what I want to talk about now, we talked about, I gave you an idea on those because I have this theory that a lot of people are going to miss out on this event of this escape, and they're now going to be commandment keepers because they're going to realize, they were just. So let's talk about those. Could those not accounted worthy to escape be cast into the beginning of sorrows? So this is a question I have. And in the following, the 70th week of Daniel, so it goes beginning of sorrows, and then the 70th week of Daniel comes. So by process of elimination, given my theory of the ones who are counted worthy, my process of elimination, these would be those who professed faith in Messiah, but were hypocrites, as they didn't listen to the instruction of their so-called master or Lord. Okay? Didn't Yeshua say, hey, why do you call me master and Lord, but not do what I say? So a hypocrite is someone who says one thing, I love you, Jesus, I love you, and then does another, and not follow through on their professing love, right? So not keeping the commandments or trying to keep the commandments as Yeshua had told us what to do. He instructed us, okay? He gave us there's 10 commandments, and there's also the +1 commandment of loving our brothers and sisters. And who are our brothers and sisters? Those who hear the word of Elohim and does it, which is keeping the commandments. Those are our brothers and our sisters, guys. So the beginning of sorrows, this is something that just hit me here, and I want to go through because this is something that's been on me, it's been coming up, and I just want to go through this, okay? And as he, Yeshua, sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? Okay, this is the destruction of the temple. Yeshua just had said, hey, all these stones, they're all going to be come down. Not one stone is going to be left on another. So the disciples wanted to know, when was that going to happen? Okay, and what shall be the sign of thy coming? Okay, and in parentheses, I put the Revelation 12 great wonder sign here, guys. Okay, and of the end of the world. Okay, see that comma? That comma wasn't me. That comma was put there by the translators. And of the end of the world. And I believe that the end of the world will be part of the beginning of sorrows and the 70th week. And Yeshua answered them and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Messiah, and shall deceive many. So before the destruction of the temple, there were a lot more false messiahs coming around saying that they were Messiah. So I put green here with green here. Okay? And it says, ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Okay, here, wars and rumors of wars, then the sign. Okay, so they're asking for the sign of thy coming. The sign of thy coming. You know he's going to come at the end of the age. This is not the sign of the Son of Man that we talked about in another video. This is the sign. What is this? What shall be the sign of thy coming, knowing that he is coming? Okay, so coming is a future tense word, the way that this is, ing is, showing that he's coming. So what shall be the sign of his coming? I put blue with blue. And then of the end of the world. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places, and all these are the beginning of sorrows. So you have the 70th week. So what I have is, this is the end of the world, and it starts with the beginning of sorrows. So nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. The beginning of sorrows, I believe, happens prior to the 70th week of Daniel. There's a lot that still has to happen between now and the time that the covenant, this covenant that will be made, that will last 7 years and be stopped in the middle. It's not a 7-year peace treaty. It's a covenant that will last 7 years, but halfway through those 7 years, the peace treaty will be broke. The covenant will be broken. Okay. And what I believe to happen here, guys, is that it will happen after this sign right here. When shall the sign of thy coming? When shall be the sign of the coming? And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So we've been hearing wars and rumors of wars for a long time. Okay, we've had the sign of the fig tree that was mentioned in, I believe, Matthew 24, Luke 21, Mark 13. Okay, the fig tree, it's around here. All this stuff is together. The fig tree is a sign, but it's not a celestial sign that Yeshua was rebuking the Pharisees and the Sadducees for. So look at the green and the green, the blue and the blue, the orange at the orange. And this might not fully make sense. I just literally, like within 40 minutes ago, I saw these things and I've been piecing this together for this presentation. But what I want to share with you is that the end of the world, the coming of the 70th week, right here, I put the end of the world. This is the sign, excuse me, what shall be the sign of thy coming? Well, the great wonder of heaven it's called the great wonder in heaven. It's a sign, okay? I believe that to be the sign of thy coming, okay? And during that period of the sign of thy coming, you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that be yet not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not, okay? So that's what has happened in the last 9 months almost. This is what's been going on. Wars and rumors of wars. We've been in wars and rumors of wars, but there's been nothing but wars and rumors and wars. And then the end of the world. They wanted to know when the end of the world. Well, the end of the world, they knew that there would be a sign, and then they knew that there would be the end of the world. And I put this as the beginning of sorrows, which preludes the 70th coming of the 70th week. For nation shall rise against nation. Well, look, this word here, the beginning of sorrows, I looked up what this beginning of sorrows was in the concordance. This is in the Greek, okay? This is what's used here for sorrows. All these things are the beginning of sorrows. Right here, 5604, okay? Sorrows. This word, oops, it appears 4 times, okay, in the scriptures, okay? Pain, childbirth, travail, pains. The beginning of sorrow starts when the travail pains come. When do the travail pains come? When a woman gives birth, 40 weeks, guys. Not 39 like I said, 40 weeks. Okay? And it just so happens that this same word that was translated as beginning of sorrows, okay, it's in 1 Thessalonians 5:3, okay, which is, we see the rapture just before that, and it says that they'll be, that verse, I have to use it, it says that they're going to be, while they are saying peace and safety, sudden destruction, peace and calmness, sudden destruction comes upon them as travail upon a woman with child. That word travail is the same word as sorrows, guys. Look it up in 1 Thessalonians 5:3. That's what I wanted to share with you. The Ruach just showed me this now. So the beginning of sorrows is going to be these wars that are going to prelude the 70th week of Daniel. And notice, guys, in my last video, it says while they are saying peace and safety, or peace and calmness, okay, travail comes upon them as a woman. Basically, it comes upon them as a woman travailing in birth. This is all going together with the Revelation 12 sign, the woman clothed with the sun, stars. So, sorry guys for bouncing all around here. I don't have time to edit this. You're going to get it as I give it to you. I apologize greatly, but this is just how I am. I don't claim to be a great presenter or a public speaker, as I definitely have challenges sometimes on sharing my thoughts and orating them, if that's the right word. Orate. So, here's what I want to bring up to you, the date of this. Everybody calls it the September 23rd sign, but they were at the time, I was, and many other people, and everybody, a lot of people still are, they're using the Hallel lunar calendar, which is a false calendar from Babylon. Elohim's calendar is solar, is preserved by the Essenes, the Zadokite, righteous Zadokite priests, and other holy men that went to go be holy and separate. Holy means sanctified, set apart, with the community of these righteous Zadokite priests in Qumran, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. And they gave us, they left us a lot of writings, their community rules, many other things that help us understand the calendar, on how to properly keep the calendar. But the calendar is already in the scriptures. A lot of people say they've recognized it there. But first thing, guys, the day starts at sunrise. Okay, this is how they kept it according to the Essenes in Qumran. And also, guys, this is what Moses said. He said, today's going to be a Friday, the 6th day of the week. Tomorrow's going to be a Sabbath. You're going to get a double portion of manna. He said, store up what you're going to store up. You're going to get a double portion. He said, bake what you're going to bake and cook what you're going to cook, basically. And it says, tomorrow is going to be, this is all paraphrase, tomorrow's going to be the Sabbath. And then it says, sunrise came, and then it said, Moses said, today is the Sabbath. Okay, go ahead and eat what you had cooked yesterday. And there's a great video. I'll put it in here in the description. But a couple of things. Okay, this is September 23rd. This is from Jerusalem. I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully this thing in the bottom disappears. Jerusalem, right there at the bottom left. Okay, the sun had already set. That's why all right here is dark, because this is stellarium. All right here is dark. The sun is set. The sun was somewhere right here in Virgo, and Virgo is going down, and the moon is not underneath the feet of Virgo. The moon is at the feet of Virgo, not underneath the feet of the woman. And the day starts at sunrise, when the sun's above the horizon. This is how the Essenes kept it. This is how it says it right in front of our faces in the scriptures. And so this is not the correct day. September 23rd was not the correct day on the Gregorian calendar of when the sign happened. The sign happened on the 24th, guys. I just shared that in my video, in my last video. And what you see, okay, see how the grass is green in stellarium? That's because the sun is up. The sun is somewhere up above Virgo's head, somewhere up here. And what I want to share with you is that this is about 9:30 in the morning in Jerusalem. Down there in the bottom, you can see Jerusalem. Down here below that, oops, okay. And so, and let's read Revelation 12. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven. Okay, so this great wonder, it's a woman, Virgo, clothed with the sun. So the sun, this sign has to happen when the sun is out, not at nighttime like in the previous screenshot that I had on the 23rd. Okay, so she has to be clothed in the sun. Okay, so it couldn't have been the night of the 23rd, because the woman was clothed was not clothed in the sun at that time, according to Jerusalem time, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. So the moon didn't come under Virgo's feet, as you saw in the previous slide, until while Virgo is clothed with the sun. This is from Jerusalem, okay, which is Elohim's timepiece, okay. This is the sign. It happened, which was September 24th, not the September 23rd sign. Okay, moon under feet didn't happen until the 24th when she was clothed with the sun, right here. This is the fulfillment of it from Jerusalem. Okay, now yes, Paphos, revelation that was given when John the Revelator was on the island of Patmos, but Patmos is, I believe, the same time zone as Jerusalem, guys. And I definitely believe that it is the same time zone as Jerusalem. So, what you got to do now is take the September 24th, 2017. We add 40 weeks, which is a week is a unit of time, just like a day is a unit of time, a month is a unit of time, a year is a unit of time. And let's see what it kicks out. It kicks out Sunday the 1st, July 2018, which is right here. But you can't go Sunday to Sunday. That's not a true 40-week period, okay? Because the end of the week is the 7th day. So we all know Sunday, what they call Sunday, what should be the first day of the week, is here. And that means the last day of that 40-week is actually the day before the first, which is the Shabbat day, which is actually on the Gregorian, the Saturday, June 30th, 2018. So I just thought that, wow, like Saturday is going to be the last, the completion of the 40th day of the sign, the Sabbath day, actually. I don't want to call it Saturday, but the Sabbath day, because this year, the Sabbath day actually happens to be on a Saturday on Elohim's calendar. Because remember, there's Elohim's calendar is 364 days. I believe there's a leap day once in a while. I'm not a perfect of my understanding of this calendar, but I have enough to understand for this year, for last year. But I have one question regarding the following year. Regarding this year, because this year is the year that matters, okay, and this information that I'm presenting, this is very relevant, it would be on a Sabbath day, which means that the beginning of sorrows would start probably the following day. I don't believe that the beginning of sorrows, again, I believe that it's a time period between, it's a time period before the 70th week of Daniel, because it's not the sorrows, it's the beginning of sorrows. So I think that there's going to be a time period between then and the 70th week, and you'll know the 70th week when this deal has been reconfirmed, okay? And so that's when you'll know that the 70th week time period starts. Now, I've speculated a day that I believe could happen, but I don't believe, just because I'm speculating doesn't mean that it will happen on that day, okay? And I speculate it's going to happen on the first day of the 7th month, because I think that there's going to be a bunch of sorrows that are going to happen, wars are going to happen, and then after these wars happen, I believe that there's going to be a huge reconfiguration of world power and governments, and that 10 government system is going to come. This anti-Messiah is going to step on the scene, and there's going to be a big, huge reconfiguration of world government and countries, and that peace plan will be reconfirmed, and it will start that 70th week period.